Welcome, everybody, to the Mansfield Buzz. All right, everybody, welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. It is Thursday. It is 2 o'clock, and we are on every single Thursday right here on YouTube, also Facebook, and LinkedIn now. So, if you're on one of these three platforms, you want to join us, that's great. We're glad to have you. You have two hosts here, Jordan and Herdy, and of course, our guest, Kevin. He's a photographer. We're going to be talking to him to a few minutes. But if you haven't done it already, Mosey, tell a couple friends. By the way, my goal this year is to get 500 subscribers. We're about 137, so we got a lot of work to do. We need to get 40 people on a month. So if you got 5 friends, send them this link right now. Just go out there and tell them to go at Mansfield TX Buzz at YouTube. Go subscribe, click the little bell, but underneath this video, if you're watching today, go ahead and click the little like button right underneath it, okay? Because that helps us get into the algorithm with YouTube and makes the content relevant. So, and even though we are relevant already, right, Jordan? So it's no big deal. All right, if you guys want to be on the show, we're now booking late April into May. Just email me, Herdy at herdyburke.com. Just put in the subject line, I want to be on the Mansfield Buzz, and I will reply to you, give you some options for some dates, and then we'll get you all booked up. But go ahead and get your business booked up if you don't mind. We also want to thank these guys right here. Liberty Tax Defenders is our, let me put their website up. LibertyTaxDefenders.com is our full sponsor, and they help us pay the light bills and take a little bit of ease of burden off. But as Jordan and I tell you all the time, hey, we're busy business guys. This is all for fun, but we want to build this and get to know our local businesses in the area. And Jordan, you'll be happy to know that for the first time, we broke 55 watch time hours last week, and we're still averaging in the 1.7 to 2,000 views every 28 days. We're around 137 subscribers now, so it's fantastic. And if you guys don't mind, let me pull this up. Chat, ask questions, say hi, and make sure you press the like button underneath this video right now if you're listening. And please say hi if you're on chat, and please ask questions. That also is cool for the show, okay? So then we're going to go back over here, and we are going to, Jordan, jump into our icebreaker section right now with our sponsor. We'll start with them, and then we're going to try to rock Kevin's boat with his own icebreaker questions. So we'll be right back with you in just a few moments. All right, everybody. So as usual, because it's a long thing for me to try to memorize, and because to be compliant, I want to make sure we read our sponsor statement. So bear with us for a few minutes, and we'll show you a short video. We are Liberty Tax Defenders, your premier tax resolution firm. We work every day to help hardworking Americans keep more of their money out of the hands of the overzealous bureaucrats. We help our clients solve problems with back taxes, unfiled tax returns, payroll, and trust fund issues. We also negotiate payment plans and offers and compromise that are favorable to our clients, as well as represent clients who are under the audit before the IRS. In addition, we help clients navigate tax issues such as employee retention credit, as well as providing CFO consulting, tax preparation, and accounting services. They've helped save customers. We've got to update this number. I keep threatening to do it. They told us $2 million in assessed taxes and penalties. We will fix that next week. Okay. Thank you, guys. And if you need to call them, 817-995-5008. Website's libertytaxdefenders.com. And we're going to go right over here really quickly and play just a short 33-second video, and then we'll start talking to Kevin.
I don't agree with the IRS's position. What are my options?
Well, you can tell them to pound sand, which so few people do this. Don't just agree. They're wrong so often. You have rights. You can appeal it. The appeal must be made within 30 days of the date that the IRS has made a determination. You file a formal notice of appeal, and you present your case before appeals. And they consider how much is it going to cost the IRS to go to court. At the end of the day, what's another 12 to 18 months if you save yourself 50 grand in the long run, which is, I think that's being conservative.
All right, guys, let me move this off the screen, get us back on here. And guys, we do want to thank them. They are awesome. They're great folks. Brad and Wade are really resilient. Gosh, they got the biggest degrees you can get in the tax field. If you go to their website and read their bios, Brad wrote tons of the code for the IRS, so makes him pretty much an expert helping people with their tax issues. So give them a check out. All right. So Jordan, I told everybody this morning, you got two photographers sitting here, and this is what they're talking about today with Kevin Satterfield. So I'm just going to tell you right now, if you guys will excuse me, I'm just going to move off camera and take a little nap while y'all beat yourselves up for the next hour. Because I do understand what they're talking about, but because they're both really good at what they do, I think it's fantastic that two photographers can talk to each other. Kevin Satterfield, welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. Jordan, it's all yours.
Welcome to the show, dude. Back for second time. Yeah, this is great, man. So now I love that you just came here blank. You just left it up to chance. We're gonna make this up as we go.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you give me a questionnaire, it feels like I'm getting ready to go for a polygraph or something.
Yeah, but you're gonna fail it all, right?
Yeah.
Or an interrogation.
Yeah, that too.
Well, that you are going into, so get ready.
All right, here we go.
So my first interrogation question is: you apparently have some interesting baseball stories for us.
Well, I've got some pretty cool ones. Like Hurdy, I'm a lifelong baseball fan. I played the sport from the time I was old enough to hold a baseball bat. My dad put a bat and a glove in my hand. I was not the greatest or most agile player. I had to learn and practice at it before I got good. So it took me about 13 years of a 14-year career.
So you retired on a high.
Yeah, I retired on a high. I had one all-star season. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty funny because I talk to my dad all the time, and we talk about baseball, and he'll come up with these different stories. And there was a couple of them. Like I remember the first time, Hurdy probably remembers this guy, Jordan. He was way before your time. A old Oakland A's pitcher named Vida Blue.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. And I was probably, I'm going to say 7 or 8 years old. We went to the game. I grew up probably about 45 minutes outside of Oakland Coliseum. And so we were going over to the game one day. And during that time, if you got there at batting practice, you can go down right on the fence, right behind the dugout, right along the field. And all the players would be out there signing autographs, talking to everybody and everything like that. There was no real security guards or anything. So it was pretty cool. You had, I don't want to say unrestricted access to the players, but it was pretty close to it. And I see this guy walking back and forth, and my dad's like, "Hey, that's Vida Blue." And I was like, "Cool." He goes, "Come on, let's go talk to him." I'm like, "Dad, he's getting ready to pitch a game." And he's like, "Yeah." He goes down there and he walks up to my dad and he goes, "Ray," and I'm like, "How does he know you?" Come to find out, they were in the Army together, and not just in the Army at the same time. They were actually in the same platoon.
Oh, wow.
Together. So it's pretty cool when he tells that story. So I'm like, that's pretty awesome. You know, then you'll hear about these different stories about, hey, the last time this guy hit a home run, this happened, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, the last player to hit this home run type thing. So I'll text my dad and I'll be like, hey, did you hear about this? He goes, yeah, I was at that game. I'm like, come on.
Jordan, Kevin is always, when we go to our network group meeting, saying, did you hear about so-and-so trade? And I'm going, no. Kevin keeps up with baseball. Okay. I mean, I thought I did, but Kevin really keeps up with baseball. He has to help me figure out, oh, really? That happened? That's cool. Yeah, he keeps up with it.
Yeah, if my wife was sitting here, she'd tell you that she could sit there with my dad, me, and my little brother, and we will sit there and watch a game, not really say very much talking to each other, but she's just like, I don't know how you guys do it, but we will literally call the pitches the entire game.
Yeah.
As we're sitting there. Because I caught for a couple of years. My brother was a pitcher. So it's one of those, and then our dad just sits there and laughs. Right? Because he's like, he played the outfield or anything, so he never really did any of that stuff. But he just sits back and laughs because my brother and I, I'll be like, I'm like, oh, he's going to throw a cutter. My brother's like, he's not going to throw a cutter. He's going to drive him inside. And he throws a cutter, and I go, huh?
Well, you're funny, Kevin, because everybody I've ever known that played any kind of baseball, right, when they're watching the games from center field and they're seeing the pitchers throw, everybody sitting on the couch, even Yvonne says the same thing. I'm sitting there calling the pitches. Okay, he just threw this one, he just threw that. Now you're going to see this, or maybe he's going to pull him and come back with the same pitch. But it's funny. We all do that. It's nuts. It's nuts. That's funny, though.
And it's crazy, too. I was actually talking to Noah yesterday before the networking group started, and we were talking about baseball. And I'm going to call him out. Noah actually played also.
Yeah.
He played a little bit of ball. He was a pitcher. But we were talking yesterday, and he had mentioned something, and we started talking more in depth about the game and everything like that. And he looked at me and he goes, I did not know you knew that much about the game. And I was like, I played for a while.
He does.
And we both know, well, I realize Noah knows a lot about the game too.
Yes.
So we were having fun talking about that. And I literally just lost my train of thought as to where that was going with that. Anyway, it was about baseball.
The knowledge and what we do, how we watch. We watch the in-between stuff, not necessarily what's happening on the field. Right.
Yeah. So, there was I think ESPN did it or the Major League Baseball Network did it to where they actually interviewed Greg Maddux and Barry Bonds separately.
Yeah.
But they had a tablet there to show them one of their at-bats. You can't see the at-bat. You can't see what's on the screen. They're literally looking at the screen, and they're talking about what each one of them is doing mentally during that at-bat. And it's like it goes, the first one is Maddux. Boom, I'm going to throw him. I'm going to start him off with this. And he throws that pitch. And then it goes to Barry Bonds. He goes, I knew he was going to start me with that, so I wasn't looking for anything else but that. So I was going to lay off on it because it was going to be a ball. And I just this whole at-bat, they're talking about how they're playing mind games against each other. And I'm just like,
that's cool.
It is crazy. So
it's a wonderful sport.
Are you like an encyclopedia holder of all that knowledge? My dad it was insane. We'd watch games and he'd just see some player would come on and he just like spat out his entire history and like last time he did that kind of a play. And it's like,
I love it.
Retained all that information.
I am a
Kevin is.
I'm not the encyclopedia about that information. That would be my dad. Because I could sit there and he sits there and every once in a while we'll get this random text from him, my brother and I will, and he's like, name the last 3 players to hit 300 with 20 doubles in the month of August in the National League. And we're like, come on. And he'll spout them off like it's, I'm like,
wow. No, I don't memorize that stuff either. All right.
So it was pretty fun.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good segue though, because interesting enough, I can see a little bit of a parallel between baseball and photography.
Yeah. Speaking of that, one of the greatest baseball pitchers to ever play the game, Randy Johnson, is now a baseball photographer.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Imagine what he can do with that knowledge of the game. I mean, his timing's got to be perfect.
His timing does have to be perfect, and the seagulls are safe now.
Yeah, the birds are safe.
Yes.
Jordan may not remember that story.
Actually, I do because I watched that game live.
Boom! Smack that bird. Right. Ouch.
It was like, did that just happen?
Yeah. That's great.
I was little. I remember that.
All right, guys. That. So I'll see y'all. Y'all have a good talk.
Yes. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
No, he just wants to say that so he can go eat something, whatever Yvonne's baking back there now.
I know, right? She's making some kind of cookies, and there's like,
Yeah.
we'll disappear, and he'll come back chewing. It's like,
Or that caramel that he had.
Right over here, I'll bring you some.
Nice.
Hey,
So, Kevin, last time you were here, we talked a little bit about photography in general, right?
Yeah.
But I think this being a business show, let's talk about business and photography.
Okay.
You know, that's an interesting one. And you know, when people get into photography, I don't know if it's for all photographers, but I would say the majority of us started out as a hobby, probably in high school or like in some part of our schooling. That or we were given a camera, and it starts as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, you go from like, this is fun to like, you know, I could charge money for this. I am curious what took you through that space, you know, because it's it's kind of an inflection point where you're like, I can make this fun. I can make this a gig. I can make this a job. And there's certain things that change when you go from one to the other. So I'm curious, how was that transition for you?
So going back, it's going to go back to my dad. My dad was a photographer when he and my mom got married, and he was actually an award-winning photographer out in the Bay Area, California. And he would, you know, go out to the Delta, the islands, and take pictures of the sunset over the tule reeds of the islands and stuff like that. He had some really cool pictures. So I was, you know, when I said I had a baseball bat in one hand, I almost had a camera in the other hand as a kid.
That's cool.
And he taught me the basics, and we're talking like old school, to where we had rolls upon rolls upon rolls of film sitting in the refrigerator, you know, unopened.
Yes.
Right. Because he actually translated that passion that he had for that into a business. So he had a business for the longest time. And you guys are going to laugh when I tell you what his specialty was, because it's the exact specialty I won't do. Is he actually did weddings. He did family portraits, and he did senior portraits. So, and I'm just like, hey, you have fun. But it was back in the day to where they would take the pictures, they would send them off to the lab, they would get the proofs would come back, and he would sit there and show his clients, hey, here are the pictures that we took. Which ones do you like? And they would write little numbers on the back with them it wasn't a Sharpie then, but it was like a felt tip marker. But then he would take each one of those and circle the little imperfections on those prints, on those proofs, and be like, you know, here's this, and here's this, and here's this, and write down a list with the corresponding number for each picture of what he wanted fixed, and then send it back off to the lab. And then they would fix those. And I know Hurdy's probably worked in a dark room before, but I don't know if, Jordan, you've had a chance to work in a dark room working with actual film. But you guys know how it is to sit there and go, you know, you're like, okay, if I do it for 7 seconds, is it going to take away that?
Yeah.
Type thing.
Let's go down that rabbit hole for a little bit. I don't think a lot of people have had that chance, and especially now younger people.
They don't know what we're talking about.
Not even a thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
dark rooms for the audience, right? Like dark rooms is literally how we used to have to process photography. So first of all, the first start you have to learn was how to take the film out without seeing it, because it had to be pitch black or that thing is destroyed. So you have to learn to open the film canister, and there's this little squiggly reels that you have to like hook it into, and then just loop it all around until you made a perfect spiral, so you can start developing the thing. And you had to do all of this incomplete, like you couldn't see a thing, right? It just had to be tactile. And then that's when you introduce the chemicals that basically freeze the process, and then you now have the negatives. That's where that's where that word comes from, because like the picture gets captured, but it's an inverse. So all whites are blacks, and you know, colors are reversed. That thing that you put into something called an enlarger, which is essentially a projector, where you put the film and then you flash it onto photo paper, which is yet another photosensitive film. So you're in this pitch black room that, I mean, it's actually, no, I think it's red or it's blue. Like
you get the red light in there.
You had the red light. You can see, but not much. I mean, you still had to use, you still had a red light though.
Expose the picture on the paper to do that. Now, Kevin,
get your test strips.
what was your tell us a little bit about what was your photoshopping techniques when you had to do it that way?
Oh gosh. I literally, because I took a class in high school. I thought it was going to be easy to take a photography class because my dad was a photographer. It made it really bad because I walked in there. The teacher looked at me. He saw I went by my dad's last name during that time period. Right. He looked at me. He goes, "Are you Ray's kid?" I go, "Yeah." He's like, and he goes, he's like, he goes, "That means you're Gertie's grandson, my grandmother." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Mess up in class, I'm telling her what you did every week on Sunday at church." And I was like, "Oh." Which didn't help to begin with anyway. I grew up in a small town. We had maybe 20, 25,000 people lived in the town. We had one high school. So everybody knew everybody.
Everybody,
right?
yeah.
So I was screwed 6 ways from Sunday on that factor to try to slide through the class. But he, for that intro to photography, he wouldn't let us shoot color. We had to shoot everything black and white. And that's when I learned the value of shooting black and white, because I love to shoot black and white. I actually prefer to shoot black and white over shooting color. And I just learned the value of doing that because it shows, like I said in that presentation, color shows you what the picture is. It shows you the vibrance, the life, and everything. The black and white, to me, shows you what the emotions are going on in that picture, what that picture makes you feel when you see it. And that's why I love shooting that style. And I learned during that how long it takes. In the old school way now, it takes what, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Then you had to, and Jordan, you probably remember this. I know Herdy remembers this. You put your paper down on there the first time. You don't even know what exposure time to put it on yet. So you got that test strip that laid across, and you had them in 1 second, intervals.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Raise it up. Boom. Here's the second one. You look at it, and if it fell down, you're like, which one was I on? And you have to start all over again and everything. That's just to get your test. Your
and
right.
Kevin, that
burn with the circles, you had to sit there like, he literally taught us the Ansel Adams version. The Ansel Adams
I was going to say, there was your guy.
We had to do it with the paper sitting, flat on the table, whereas Ansel Adams did it with the paper on a wall vertical, and he literally treated it like he was painting, those beautiful scenes of El Capitan, of Yosemite, all that stuff there in Yosemite Valley. And it was just awesome. And I actually got a chance to see that full documentary not too long ago on how he did the dodge and burn and how he did what he did.
What an art that was back in the day. The people that were in those dark rooms were extraordinary because, it's amazing the process, but man, they were really good. Really good.
And it goes to a time where, like, you look at it now, we can pump 1,000 pictures out a month.
Yeah.
If you think about it. And he was taking probably a year to perfect one picture.
And think about how that formed in business. Think about a photographer took a picture of a news event that morning, but they had to have it ready to print in the paper by 3:00 that afternoon, right? So that whole time in between was getting the photography ready for the news and getting it out in the papers, whatever. And I think we forget that took time, and there were deadlines, right? These guys would be running back and forth going, okay, we need to get this to us now because we got the lead story. We need those pictures. So
but I would
people
argue
realize
that we haven't. I don't think we've forgotten. It's just it's going a little bit more specialty.
Yeah, it is.
And the reason I know this is because I've been a creative director working for advertising agencies for many years. So I work with photographers, and I get to work with the photographers that you pay $100,000 for one picture, right? Mm-hmm. But you will notice when you're in that field working with so many different photographers, you can tell who has been traditionally trained, or I guess now it would be classically trained. That's called classic, because if you're classically trained, you've worked through that developing process, and you start, as Kevin said, you start with black and white. So you learn to identify how to bring those details. So when you look at the pictures of people that went through that process before digital came around, you can just hit the auto button. You'll notice that their images have more of a 3D effect to it. And it's something that I get a lot of, I'm sure you get it too, Kevin, because you actually know how to work contrast properly, that your pictures look 3D.
Yep.
Right. And it's because when you're looking at a black and white picture, you start pushing that white and black and all the grays in between. You can really create a lot of depth, but you control that, right? Like the camera makes everything flat, and then you as a photographer go in and start pulling all that detail out, and that's how you get those images that just like
That's
speak,
crazy.
right? It's like it feels like it's a moment frozen in time. The person that's about to move.
There's a there's a photographer out now that actually teaches that concept with doing it with color. He's a I want to say he's British photographer. Yeah, Glenn Davies or Glenn Davis, something like that. He's a British photographer, and he teaches those concepts of how to do the 3D, but in full color. And it's I did it on a couple of shots that I have. I haven't showed them to anybody because just the person I took the pictures of were like, "Hey, don't let this out in public," type thing. And I was like, "All right, no problem."
All right.
Right? And it was but the way I did it, they were like, I showed them the original, of course, edited for color contrast, blacks, whites, all that good stuff. And then I showed them what I did after the fact with those 3D type effects on there, and they were like, "That is insane." Knowing, that literally one of them was taking the piece of paper and they were looking at it like this, going, "How did you do that?" type thing. Now
looking behind it.
Yeah, now you got this technology on your phone. You press a button, it says, "Do you want to make it 3D?" Yes. Boom, done. And I'm like, yeah, come on, just stop it.
Yeah, I got to let the artistry do that. So let's talk about a little bit about the photography and just the difference in photos, right? Because earlier before the show, as we're prepping for it, we're talking about just the different rates, right? Because photography is one of those things that you'll find all sorts of rates, but photos are not created equal, right? No. And photography is one of those things that you really do get what you pay for, because you can find somebody, well, apparently somebody will go shoot a 12-hour event for $200, which is insane. But you're going to get a $16 an hour picture, right? Like, and it has its plays, right? Like I tell everybody, best date you'll ever have is go take your JCPenney portrait and go take the cheesiest picture possible, because it's hilarious, it's fun. You'll have a forever memory. Mm-hmm. But when you go into the commercial space, right, when you take a photography for business, the photo is going to say a lot more than what's in it, right? How this photo is taken, how it's portrayed, will impact the value that people perceive of your business. So as a business owner, when you're looking for photography, you definitely want somebody who's going to take more time on it and be more careful for it. So Kevin, in your experience going through this, can you kind of talk to me about how you go about, like, what's your process like? And what is the difference between like your hobby taking photography and your professional taking photography? Because I know for me, when I take a picture and I'm just having fun, like I'll take it with a camera, I'll take it with my phone, but I'm not being overly purposeful about it. But when it's for a client, it takes a completely different persona.
Yeah, one of the things I do, of course, real estate listing photography aside, that's a given. You want the house to look the best it can to get buyers to come in. So that's one thing there. But with all my other shoots that I do, especially like the headshots, the lifestyle shoots and everything, is I want to have a sit down chat with the person that we're going to be doing the photo shoot with to find out what exactly they're looking for as the end product. And then I can approach it from, and I tell them what my vision of doing this is. I merge what their vision is, kind of like what Tom was talking about yesterday, Herdy. He likes to talk before they bring people in. He likes to talk to them first. What are you looking for in result? Yeah. And I like to approach it that way. That way I'm not just going out there saying, "Hey, boom, I'm a photographer. I know what I'm doing. Trust me," type thing. I don't want to do that. I want to build that relationship with them first so they can have the trust in me to convey what they're trying to get across with the photos. And doing concert stuff, that's kind of difficult to do because you're just wanting to capture what the band is doing on stage, how the crowd's reacting, and all that goodness. And that one's more, that's probably, if you ever want to do fly by the seat of your pants photography,
that's the place.
Shoot a concert.
Yeah, and shoot a video concert.
Yeah. We won't even go down that rabbit hole.
I've done it, and believe me, it's difficult.
Yeah, I've been for that. I'm actually working on a package for that exactly, and it is no joke. But on the photography side, Kevin, you mentioned something, and actually, real quick, as we're getting some comments about my audio being atrocious. Let me see if this is a little bit better.
You could turn it up just a little bit, Jordan, but it's not that we can't understand you. I think it just needs to go up a little bit, but it's fine. You're all right.
Okay,
They're just
so-
not. You're not used to they're used to seeing you in your nice little studio at the house, and and with your backdrop. But he's on location, folks. This is why we
Right.
love StreamYard, because we can be virtual like this. He's using somebody else's Wi-Fi today, which is really cool. That we can still
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah, a
Right,
little
Kev?
sideline on that
Yep.
Wax workspace. And
So while he's doing that, Kevin, I have a question for you. So,
All right.
I carry my camera in my car all the time. And my question to you is, you guys being in photography always carry your equipment with you for easy, quick access in case something happens right in front of you, or you see something really cool? I mean, are you always looking at everything from a photograph type of way? Is everything in your visual something like photography? Is that how your mind works?
Yeah, it is. I don't
okay.
always carry my camera stuff with me just because it's
expensive.
It's expensive. I got it.
Yeah. But what
Exactly.
people don't realize is these are
Yeah.
capable of taking some really good some pictures.
Well, they're instant photography for those reasons, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I meant. Are you always
They're,
looking at opportunities when you drive down the road? Are you seeing a picture, or are you seeing the road? I mean, how does your mind look at the world around you?
Well, if my wife was sitting here saying, she'd probably say, you don't want to know what his mind's looking at the world like. I see the world I look at it from the photography side of everything. And then you guys know my background and everything. So I look at the world that side too.
Yeah.
But I'm always looking, if I see something, I'll probably go back later, depending on where we're at. I'll actually go back later and take some shots of it. I'll grab my gear and go back, take some shots of it. I saw a really cool, I did a shoot down in Lake Whitney a couple weeks ago, and I saw a really cool creek with some literally some 20, 25 foot limestone cliffs that I'm going to go back as soon as the wind, agrees with me. But I'm going to drop the drone down on there and get some shots.
Cool.
Going along this creek of that drone, or with the drone and everything of those cliffs.
Kevin,
and it's
with your, whenever you're with your iPhone, one thing that Herdy was talking about too is I don't think people know this, but you don't use the iPhone app to take pictures, right? Like everybody uses the little camera button to take pictures. You don't use that.
No, I don't.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you take your pictures?
So I use so if I'm doing video with my iPhone, which I will shoot, quick video with my iPhone. If I'm doing that, I actually use the Blackmagic app for it, which is literally the same software as the Blackmagic cinema cameras.
It's free. Download it. Check it out on your phone. You'll be terrified and then delete it, but take a look at it. It's fun.
But I also shoot my photos through Adobe Photoshop. I actually use the camera function on the Lightroom app, and I shoot with that. There's also another app I do for if I want to capture motion, like with water, to make it nice, the silky wet, spiderweb smooth look on water. I use I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head.
That's the name of it. Can't remember the name
of it. It's called Reheld.
How do you spell that?
REEHELD. And the cool thing is you can it's designed to where you can hand hold the iPhone, type in or select how long you want the picture, the exposure to be, and it will automatically isolate your camera's sensor for an automatic stabilization, like our built-in stabilizations on the FX3 and the FX6, to where you can hold it there for the 5 seconds, and no matter how much you move, the picture is crystal clear. But
That's
the water looks like it's spider webs coming down. Looks really cool. One of the shots I did in the Black Forest in Germany, at Ravenna Gorge in Germany, when I was there, was I used that. So people see that shot and they're like, "Was the water frozen over?" I go, "No, water was moving." And they're like, "Why does it look so just like glass?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm just that good."
I'm going to give you a shout out because right before my Florida Orlando trip, you taught me how to get into the photo setting for Lightroom Mobile, which I didn't know you could do that. So when I'm taking pictures over in Universal Studios and Disney, people are like, "Dude, like, did you bring in your camera?" I was like, "No, it's my phone." But you like, I get
Wow.
direct raw access to it, so I could do so much more with my phone because I'm a commercial photographer. So when I go take a picture, I go prepared and I take cameras, I take light. I'm not very good at just impromptu capturing things as they go. Like that's not my skill set. Like I make an image, I'm not so good at catching it on the wild. But getting access to all that extra information, because shooting raw on digital is the same as just getting a photo negative back when it was filmed.
Yeah.
You get all the information so you can access it later and then just make it darker, brighter, bring all the stuff out.
So, and I have a question for Kevin. So, Kevin, let me ask you this. So, all of us have phones, and all of us consider ourselves to be publishers to a certain extent because we're always taking pictures or something. However, let's go over the fence. Let's drop that into the business world now,
Okay.
because for businesses needing photography, I think that staying on the side of the fence with your phone yourself is one thing, but I think all businesses probably at some point need to hop over that fence and get into the professional side of photography, correct?
Yeah, they do.
Is
That's
that your
very
answer?
important.
They do.
It's like, yeah, just do
They
it.
do.
They do.
That picture
No,
of you with somebody cropped out is just not professional. So let's just not do
Hey,
that.
stop that.
I got a funny story about somebody getting cropped out of a picture, but that's got to be offline because it's hilarious, and it's definitely not PG. But I don't know how many times I see that people will contact me and they're like, "Hey, I want headshots or I want stuff for my website, this, that, and the other," and I'm like, "Cool, let's set up. We can have a sit down, and we'll talk. And don't answer. Do not let her ask a question. She's mean."
Too late.
Oh, great.
Ask away.
But it's I try to figure out and let them know. I try to educate them on the not the back end, but on the front end of what professional photography can do for their business. It's a factor of, and now that we're competing with AI, I don't know how many times I see an ad come across. I get in my email saying, "Hey, do you want professional headshots done? Well, you can do them from the comfort of your home, just with AI." And I'm like, "Come on, people. This is getting ridiculous," because you could tell they're AI because they just look plastic. There's some
I'm
you can
sorry.
look at them. See, I told you she's mean. She's going to text my wife now and tell her quit picking on her. But
Julia, awesome, Julia.
yeah,
That's great.
that's her go-to every time. Every time I start picking, she says I'm picking on her. She tells me she's going to text my wife. So
Okay.
yeah, the business side, I think it's a factor of, it's one of those things that most people don't think about, or when they think about it, it's always too late. They don't, when they're building their budget, especially for their annual, their annual budgets, what their CapEx is going to be, what all that good stuff is. By the way, if I start using business terms, I do have a business degree. Before I don't have a photography degree, I have a business degree. So when you start looking at that, nobody factors in marketing very much. Or when they do factor in the marketing, they think it's all the digital marketing, but they're not taking in consideration that photography can be part or is part of that digital marketing footprint, because you have to get the shots out there. You have to capture the people so you can put a name to a face to a name. Who's the face of the company and all that stuff. And it's a factor of, or it's not a factor of, it's just a realization that they forget about that type thing.
And you know what? Let's dive into that a little deeper. Let's talk about
Okay.
faces, because that is the number one marketing differentiator your business has that I think people severely underutilize, right? If you are a small business, if you are making anywhere less than 10 million of revenue a year, I mean, we know this, right? If you're under 10 million revenue, your face is the single most powerful marketing tool you have.
Yep.
Once you go past the 10 million, you start going into bigger business, your brand now becomes the leading driver of your success. But when you're below that, people want to do business with you and what you stand for, and that is literally your face. So I really want to encourage everybody to really think about your face as a competitive advantage. Now, I know a lot of us are very self-conscious about our faces. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think as a photographer, you take a different view into it. But I don't think for anybody that hasn't worked with a photographer, I don't think you know how that works and what are the advantages that you can expect, or maybe a little bit of peace of mind that you can have when you're working with a photographer.
Yeah. So when it comes to the trying to figure out where you're going with that question.
Oh, I mean, simply it's just, people are very self-conscious, but
They
showing
are.
our faces in our business is very important. I don't think people
Camera
realize
fear.
that a photographer can make you look good,
Camera
I think
Okay, yeah.
that's
That's
literally
where I thought you were going with that. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ask people specifically when we get to that part, I'm like, okay, we're going to take a lot of pictures from, like shoulders up type thing or waist up. We're going to do some stuff. Is there anything you want me to touch up? Is there anything you want me to, remove? I actually did a session with a client that had, I can't add hair. It's not going to work for you. Right. But I had a session with a client who had a birthmark on her neck, and it was like the Weinstein birthmark type thing is what it was. And she asked me, she goes, "Can you remove that?" And I go, "Yeah, that's easy." And I removed it, sent her the first edits for it after with it removed and everything. And she's like, she literally calls me, she's in tears. And I was like, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "I've never had a picture with me with where I felt confident enough to where I can actually hold my head high and not have to worry about hiding that type thing." And I was like, "Well, there you go."
That's
I had another client that we all know and we all love dearly that she's was like, I don't like taking pictures. I don't have pictures of myself and everything. And we wound up having fun taking the photo shoot. Her husband was there cracking jokes. I don't know who was laughing harder, me, her, or her husband, because we were all three cracking jokes at each other. But we had a good time doing that. And she was very happy with the pictures I took, just because, I was able to bring her actual personality out in the pictures. And, we did a little removal of some wrinkles. I'm not going to take them all the way off to where you look like a Barbie doll walking around or anything like that. But I will ask you how far you want to, how much softening of your skin do you want to go? Type
right.
thing. So,
Yeah.
if you want if you want me to turn your gray beard brown, well, $12 down at HEB can get you a bottle of
Yeah.
a lot easier than me.
Yeah.
Type thing. So, but
What would you say are like your chief complaints or like insecurity? Let's go to that. Like, what are like the chief insecurities you get from clients?
Body image.
Yeah.
What they think they look like.
Same on video.
Yeah. I work with a lot of like college age kids doing like sports stuff for them, but action shots, not team pictures or anything like that. And all of them would be like, that makes me look fat. I'm like, "You're not fat. Stop it. Just knock it off." If the wind comes up too much, we're gonna have to tie a couple of baseball bats to you because you're gonna blow away.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't turn sideways. We'll miss you.
Yeah. Don't turn sideways. But that's the big thing that I always run into, and it's actually it's not even like young adults. It's adults our age still have that body image of like, "Oh, I look horrible in pictures." And I kind of try to lighten the mood. I was like, "Well, you never had me take a picture of you."
So Kevin, what's the biggest challenge? What is your biggest challenge? You do a lot of outdoor photography and you do headshots, but I see a lot of your outdoor photography, right? What is your biggest challenge? You're fighting the sun, you're fighting all sorts of elements. What do you look for first of all? What kind of day? And then how do you generally set up? Away from the sun, down sun, below the sun? I mean, I'm just kind of getting a feel for people don't realize the complications that go through when you get up in the morning and you start looking out the window. What kind of day is it?
Yeah. With shooting outside, shooting exteriors, landscapes, travel photography, stuff like that, you're pretty much Yeah, see? You're pretty much at the whim of Mother Nature. It's you can't really, unless you're going to go out at right at sunrise, right there at that start of that golden hour, and get the sun coming up over the coast, or you're going to do this, that, and the other, where you're going to try to control as much of the elements as you can. But that to me, I've got serious ADD. That takes too much thought.
Okay.
So a lot of my shots are literally spur of the moment. Just I happened to see something and I was like, hey, that looks cool. That looks, and the cool part is I've had people tell me, don't shoot what other people are going to think they're going to look cool, because not everybody's going to agree with it. Shoot what you think looks cool, what you think is beautiful,
right?
You think is going to work, and go with that. I mean, as you could see, some of the pictures I brought back from Europe, I'm not afraid of shooting the elements. I mean, I was taking pictures during a snowstorm.
Right. Yeah.
In the snow, taking pictures.
Right.
My lovely assistant was standing next to me, telling me, "Hurry up, I'm freezing," type thing. Because he was with me. But I think it's the spontaneity of shooting nature that brings it up. You can always make something out of nothing. I mean, you're not going to make this most spectacular shot out of something. That picture I took in Tampa just was, I saw it. We were actually packing up, getting ready to leave the beach. That's why there was hardly anybody out there on the beach when I took that picture. And I just happened to see it, and I was like, hey, I think that'll look cool. And I didn't realize what I had until I went back and actually edited it. I just saw the sun through the clouds, and I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool. And
that's awesome.
The picture came out. I did a snap right outside the back porch right after a rainstorm a couple years ago. And you see it, and it's just like, okay, there's clouds. You barely see the rainbow coming through. I ran it through Lightroom and just adjusted the contrast on it. And I was like, holy crap, just what came out of that picture. And I was just like, yeah. And it's stuff that's hidden there that the naked eye can't see all the time. Right. But once you start manipulating the light and playing with the light, and that's one thing I do, is I really don't add or take away to pictures. I get a lot of people say, hey, you do a lot of composite stuff. And I'm like, I probably have done 3 composite pictures in my lifetime.
Gotcha.
And that's really all I did was swap the sky out, because the sky was, and I just wanted to make it look more dramatic type thing. So
that's one for sure. Because when you ask about outdoor photography, I'll go back to portraits, but shooting in a cloudy day is where you're going to get the best looking people, because you're basically standing underneath the world's biggest giant softbox, so all the lighting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful, but
all filtered correctly. Yeah, as we say.
I get people a lot. Like, oh, we got to wait until it's perfectly sunny outside. It's like, no, we don't.
No.
You don't want to shoot in a perfectly sunny sky.
But what a lot of us will do is we'll shoot in that cloudy day, but then we'll replace that cloudy sky for a blue one later.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is the fun part about that. And now I was going to tell you guys that relates also to video. You guys know that. People should understand. Sun is a culprit shooting video, because of glares and things, and pointing in the sun and silhouetting things down sun. It's just crazy. So yeah, I like cloudy. Agreed.
So you don't want to shoot your video to get that Michael Bay screen flare all the time?
Well, if you want to hide a witness,
Michael Bay or JJ Abrams that does the screen,
hide a witness against the window. If you want to hide a witness against the window and when a bright sun behind it, sure. You can see the silhouette.
It's funny, because even just like going back to shooting spontaneously, I got a picture of a beautiful. It's really not the Lexus 2-door, the sportier coupe, right? For their F-Type, and I got a picture that it's parked across the street from Dirty Jobs when I took the picture. Yeah, but I took the picture from 15 feet inside the bar.
Oh wow! Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm standing inside the bar, and it was a cloud. It was a beautiful blue sky day, and I'm literally standing 15 feet inside the bar. I shot through the window across the street and captured that picture of that, because it was a beautiful, candy apple red F-Type. I think it was the RC 450 or RC 550. I can't remember which one it is. Right? But I got that, and people look at it. They go, oh, how'd you block out the cars and everything? I'm like, oh, I just got lucky. And when I tell them where I was standing, they're like, no way. I was like, yeah, I was standing inside the bar. So, a lot of those shots I got in Europe, when I'm standing, I get those castles on the Rhine River. I'm actually standing on the deck of a boat that's moving about 10 miles an hour down the river. with a 15-mile-an-hour wind, and it's like 22 degrees outside.
All right,
So-
like it looks wonderful, but I can't see you.
Yeah.
Just all huddled up. It's like, oh god, this is crazy.
There may or may not have been a lot of schnapps being passed around that day on the top of that boat.
So what kind of shots do you want, Kevin, if you're working with a business owner and, along with the headshots, what else do you like to capture for that business to kind of give them a well-rounded feel for what they're trying to?
But we could get like the action shots. We could show them, some type of them at work.
Okay.
They are in
Right.
their element at work. Some of the realtors that I've done branding shots for is they're actually in a model home. They've got their computer out. They've got papers, spread across the
Sure.
island in the kitchen or something. And we're taking shots for that. I did a shoot for a couple of financial advisors, stockbrokers, whatever, day traders, something like that. And we did the same thing. They were in their office environment. They had all their screens up. Of course, it was pretty cool because they actually put their training package up, so it had the different training spreadsheets and all that stuff on there. So none of it was actual real information. It was all the stuff that they created for the training side. So I've got a picture of them. You can't really see their faces very well. I got more profile pictures of their faces, but they're pointing at the screen, so you can see that they're actually talking about what they're doing. And you got more of what's on the screen and all that good stuff. So it's basically wanting to show the public what it is they actually do.
Yeah.
Well, you say that's your definition of brand photography? Because now that I think about it, like people might not understand what like branding photography is.
Yeah. I think there's different thought processes on branding photography, because branding is you're wanting to create your brand. I know a lot of people use branding photography as headshots. They literally have, they have their whole team sitting there and they're in, I've got a friend of mine, his wife is one of the top brand photographers up in the north part of the Metroplex. And her shots that they do, I asked him one time, I'm like, are you guys actually taking pictures, or are you drinking a couple bottles of wine type thing? And she goes, because they're having fun, because they're showing what their business does as far as the team goes. They're showing how they can interact and how they work with each other, how the interpersonal skills are going with each other. But they're also doing it in their business their business environment. So if they're realtors, they're sitting in a house. They actually have a couple extra people. They'll have some of their friends or some other realtors that have already done their stuff come in, and they're acting like they're talking to them, doing a deal, this, that, and the other, kind of acting stuff out. It's
Cool.
It's a different genre, I guess. It's one of the most difficult ones, I think, to actually nail down what exactly it is. So
Yeah,
you as a
marketer,
marketer, Jordan, you can get that a little bit easier, because you can actually shoot a 15-second, 30-second little, commercial, basically. All that stuff.
I mean, and it's tough, right? You want to pack an entire business proposition into a 15-second video. It's tough. Pack it all into one picture.
Yeah.
Even tougher.
Well, a lot of these, they're going to use them for like their flyers to market their business. They're going to use them for magazines. They'll put them like there's those magazine ads that are out there now, so they'll put them in those for like Southern Living or something like that. One of those publications that are still out and about. So they'll put those in there. They'll use them on their website to say, hey, they'll do a shoot for 1 year, and they're like, hey, here's our entire marketing plan for the year. And they'll put it out on social media, repeating.
Wow.
They're not even repeating, but they'll take 15 to 20 different shots of the team, and they're like, hey, here's what we're doing this month. Here's what we're doing this quarter, type thing.
Yeah.
And use them that way. So it's more, I guess you could say it's more marketing than branding.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I would say for me, a good definition for it is, when it comes to brand photography, is anything you're purposefully putting an emotion into.
Yeah.
When it comes to photography for a business.
Makes
Because
sense.
you can have a picture, but when you go with a professional, you're purposely adding emotions there that you are, crafting for your customers, and you want that image to give you that. So if if you're a bakery, what you want to do is you want to make people hungry, and you want to make them happy, right? So that all the bakery images give you this warm and fuzzy feeling, and you want a cookie.
Actually, there's actually a shot that Yvonne has put up a couple of times that she uses, that I had to talk her into that shot.
Yes,
because
you did.
She was
That's
like,
right.
but my face is going to be blurry. I go, but you're still going to be visible. They're still going to see you. It's just not going to be crystal clear focus. What's focused is what your product is. And she's holding up the 2 cookies like this, and I shot her face through the 2 cookies. But the cookies are nice and sharp, and you see her face is just a tad bit out of focus, fuzziness type thing. But you can still recognize her, see who it is.
Yeah.
And when she saw that end shot, she goes, "Okay, now I got it."
Right, and I will tell you that from a video standpoint, that works similar. If you have the right kind of camera and you set it up right, you can focus on the person or the thing you're shooting and make the background, kind of blurred out a little bit, which is what some of these high-end cameras are designed to do. And people think that that's wrong, but that's done on purpose. Okay,
Yeah.
Same with photography.
Oh,
So Kevin,
that blurry background is so nice, and it's so
it is.
expensive.
It is, but it forces people to be focused on the object, right, instead of everything that's going on around them. It's same with photography. So,
and we have a nerdy term for that too.
What?
And we have a nerdy term for that.
And what is that term?
It's bokeh.
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 Don't ask me what it stands for. I don't understand it. It's not even spelled the way it sounds.
Yeah, it's spelled Boken.
Yeah,
because
it's spelled bokeh.
So Kevin, we're getting toward top of the hour. So I have a question for you, and that is, can you go through your vertical markets for us?
My vertical markets?
Well, kind of like your verticals, what you like to work in, real estate, headshots, and the things we know you don't do for sure, but the things you really do.
So my verticals
start with the things you don't do, because that's always
hilarious. Yeah, if you just tell us the 2 things you don't do, we know the rest is wide open.
Yeah, I don't shoot weddings. I have a lot of people that ask me why I don't shoot weddings, and I'm like, I value my sanity.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a factor of, everybody's like, oh, the photographer's only there for the ceremony. I'm like, no, the photographer's there from the minute the bride steps in to where she's going to get her makeup. Right,
all night long.
And it goes until the last person leaves.
That's right.
The reception. So you're there 15 hours. You're there 16 hours, however long you're there for, and then it's going to be a factor of you got 2 to 3 weeks worth of editing.
Yep, to go through. Wow,
just that wedding. Because you've got thousands. I mean, thousands of pictures that you got to go through. And on the technical back end of it, that's a lot of disk space you got to have.
Right. You're right.
Because, so I shoot every single one of my pictures when I shoot with the Sony. Those things are 85 to 95 megabytes of data per picture.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were going to be that much more data on the Sony when I switched over from Nikon to Sony, because my Nikon was shooting 25 to 35 megabytes per picture. They're both mirrorless cameras, but the Nikon was shooting 25 to 35 megabytes. Then the Sony started shooting 85 to 95 megabytes. And I was like, holy crap.
Right.
I never thought I was going to have to buy like a 2 to 3 or 4 terabyte hard drive just to store pictures on so I can edit them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, don't do weddings. I love kids. I don't like taking pictures of kids, and it's not the kids that I have a problem with. It's the parents.
By kids, you mean like young children? Because you do sports, right? For like school athletes, so it's little kids.
Yeah, it's just the little kids, and it's nothing against the little kids themselves, because kids are kids are kids. A lot of people that know me say that me and the kid has the same mentality, because we're just there to have fun, right? But it's the little Johnny doesn't look cute enough, and I'm like, well, little Johnny's ugly, so type thing. Little Johnny's not cute. Sorry, I hate to tell you that. I'm kidding. I don't. Everybody's gonna be like, nope, we're done. We're not.
We're fired.
I'm kidding.
We're done.
So, and that's the other thing too, is as you guys can tell, I don't take life seriously, because I've seen too much BS.
Yeah, you don't, and that's good. Yeah, we love that about you.
I take my craft very seriously.
Right.
But we're gonna have fun while we're doing it.
Yeah. We know you shoot people. It's okay.
Yep. I do.
What about pets? What about pet portraits?
Ooh.
You had to bring that one up, didn't you?
Oh.
Of course.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No.
Yeah.
No. And the reason I say that is you can have the best trained dog out there, and they're still not going to do what you tell them to do, especially when there's a stranger there. If you're a complete stranger. Now, getting the shots of pets in action, like when they're running around, like
Yeah,
you get those cool shots where
easy.
they're jumping and they capture the dog in mid flight. That's one of those. It's more you're shooting a sporting event, like one of those dog trials or something. I'll do that, but just sitting there saying, "Hey, we want little Fluffy to have an entire portrait package done," and I'll be like, "Why?" But no,
So I'm gonna bring.
Yeah, and I don't shoot. I don't take pictures of cats at all.
All right, cool. So Kevin, I've got your website up, KDSImageryTX.com. You guys should go check that out and get a hold of him if your business needs any kind of photography, or your individual self needs photography, or if you have real estate, if you need some drone work, he's got all that covered. And Kevin, is the best place to find you on the website? Is that where you like people to go first?
Go to the website especially if you want to purchase some of my stuff. There's a lot of my travel stuff that's on there that's available for purchase.
Perfect.
I'm a poor retired military guy. I call it the poor sergeant.
Help Kevin. Help.
Yeah.
Support Kevin. Go buy an image today.
Of course, some of the people that are out here that know my wife, they're going to be like, "Yeah, but you married a sugar mom," and I was like, "Yes, I did." So, but it's that I prefer if you're going to reach out to me through anything, Instagram, and Instagram's the same thing. KDS Imagery TX on Instagram.
Is it? Okay. All right. So let me put that in this. So Instagram.
Well, when you go to the website, it has Instagram and Facebook on there.
Okay. So just click on the icon on the website. Yeah. Okay. So go to his website, click on Instagram, buy some photos from Kevin. Kevin Satterfield, thank you for being part of the Mansfield Buzz today. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
Hey, we're glad. Anytime. Thanks for filling in. We appreciate that, because it helps us keep the train moving right along. And we love back in filling guests because we want to know what's new and what's changed, because a lot of businesses change within a year. You were one of our first. If I'm correct, Kevin was our second ever broadcast behind Arnie from Rockstars in Mansfield, Ride of Tomorrow, Mansfield. So it's already been a year. Matter of fact, Kevin, you are the year anniversary show. Last week was our 1 year. You are the second. You are the anniversary a year ago. So
you should have told me that. I cracked open some whiskey.
Well, that's fine. You can still do that. But hey, guys, thank you for chatting in today. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for listening in. Kevin, we'll get a copy of this out to you, but sit tight after it's over because we want to make sure we get your audio version uploaded to our server. So just sit tight with me. Jordan, great questions. Thanks for being a great host. Congratulations on you're doing some photography today, as a matter of fact, over in Oak Cliff. So that's really cool. And guys, Mansfield Buzz, can't help. Please go to our channel. Did you know, Jordan, you want to hear something really funny?
What's up?
67% of the people that come to our channel don't subscribe. They watch, but they don't subscribe.
Just hit subscribe.
And it's because of you, dude. I don't know what else to say. I mean, so guys, convert
you guys aren't doing that fancy thing.
That by the way, that's not unusual. But what we want you to do is go back over to our channel, subscribe, hit the like button, go catch some of our businesses, because these businesses we covered are people you're going to need services from. And this is what we're here for, is to cover these local businesses and give them a voice. So Jordan, any final thoughts, sir?
Just subscribe, help out a channel that helps you out, so we can keep promoting each other and build a Mansfield community.
All right, guys. So next week we talk about fire ants, termite swarms with Truly Nolan. So you need to come back and find out how to get your house and business pest free. We'll see you next Thursday in the Mansfield Buzz. Y'all have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.